It takes administrative skill to do that. God has gifted some of you to do that kind of thing. It is a gift of God to have mercy on people and to have compassion on people. So maybe your gift is to see someone in your place or in your church who needs help, who needs to be strengthened, who needs to be encouraged, and God has gifted you to do that. All of us have some kind of spiritual gift that we can use for God. One of my favorite authors is a man named Marcus Buckingham. And he's a very famous author around the world. You can even find his books here in National Bookstore. I've seen his books. And he writes about leadership, and he writes about using your talents or using your gifts. And what Marcus Buckingham says, he says most people go through their life trying to improve their weakness. They try to improve their weaknesses. So they look at their life and they see, I'm very weak in this area, so I'm going to focus on that area. I want to improve on that area. And Marcus Buckingham says that's a mistake. It's a mistake. You should not do that. You should focus on your strengths. You should focus where your strength is. You should focus on what God has given you the ability to do. Don't worry about spending time focusing on your weakness. Spend time focusing on where God has gifted you. It would be the same if someone with the gift of administration, they don't focus on that, but they really want to be a good teacher. They really want to teach, but they are not a good teacher. They're a terrible teacher. You don't want to be in their class. They're not a good teacher, but they really want to try that. They really want to do that. And they will fail. They will not succeed because they are not living inside of their strength, right? Live inside of your strength. Live inside of your gift. Is that clear? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay? So we want to live inside of our gifts. We want to understand what gift God has given us. And then we want to develop that. We want to commit to our gift. And that is exactly what Paul is talking about in that verse when he says, fan into flame the gift of God. Fan into flame the gift that God has given you. You must know your strengths, and then you must develop them. You must commit to them, and you must develop your strength. That's what BBCA is all about. That's why this Bible college exists. It's to help you develop your strengths. It's to help you develop the gift that God has given you. If you look at any of these banners, streamers, as you're going out, you will see it says, training effective leaders. Training effective leaders. That is our goal at our Bible college. That's what we want to do. We want to train you to use your gift, to be effective in living inside of your strength and to commit to living inside of your strength. And Paul uses the example of fanning a flame. And he's talking about starting a fire, trying to start a fire. Now, in our world in 2016, it's very easy to start a fire, right? Most of the time you just press a button, right? Push a button on your stove or on the, whatever, your burner, two burner or whatever, and you have a flame, right? And maybe it's, you have a gasoline tank, and it's very easy to start a fire. But they did not have stove or gas or anything like that during this time. So Paul is using the example. He's saying, just imagine that you're trying to start a fire and you don't have a burner, you don't have gasoline, and you have a very small spark, a very small flame. How do you grow it into a big flame? A fire, to grow, it requires oxygen, it requires air. Okay, did you know that? If you've ever had a match or you tried to start a fire and there's not enough air around that flame, what will happen? What will happen? It goes out, right? It will die. A fire requires oxygen or requires air. And so that's what he means by fanning the flame. He's saying that it's our job. It is your job to take the gift that God has given you, this flame that God has given you, and and to fan that flame, to blow on that flame, to put oxygen to that flame, to commit to that flame, and to help it grow into a bigger fire for the Lord, a bigger flame for God. Fan the flame. Commit to the gift that God has given you. Every one of you sitting here has a special ability that God has given you. Maybe no one has ever told you that before. I don't know. Maybe you're a new believer and no one has ever told you that. But I'm telling you tonight, God has gifted you to do something special for Him. You have an ability to serve God. We just sang a song about giving everything we have to God. And I'm living for this cause. God has gifted you to live for Him and to be successful in serving Him. I want to show you a scene from a movie to illustrate this. This is a short scene from one of my favorite movies by one of my favorite actors, is the actor in this movie. And the actor's name is Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks. Do you know this actor? Yeah, he's one of the most famous actors in the world, and especially in America. And Tom Hanks was in a movie about 10 years ago, and it's called Castaway. Castaway. Have you ever seen that movie before? Very famous movie. It won a lot of awards. Castaway. If you have not seen the movie, what happens is Tom Hanks is working for a delivery company, FedEx, and he's on a big plane, a big delivery plane over the ocean, and the plane crashes. It's in a plane crash. And he is the only survivor, only one, the only survivor. And he is washed up onto the shore of an island by the ocean. And so he is on this deserted island. There's no one else there, the only person on the island, okay? And he has to learn how to survive. He has to learn how to survive. And he learns in the first 2 or 3 days, he learns that to survive, he needs fire. He needs fire because he's trying to eat. He's trying to catch fish, and he's even catching birds and things like that. Have you ever tried to eat a bird without cooking the bird? Yeah. Well, Balut is one example. But how many of you have taken a chicken from the market and you just get the whole chicken and say, well, we're not going to cook this tonight, we're just going to eat it, huh? No. It's crazy, right? Well, he realizes, I need fire to survive, I need fire to live. And in this moving clip that you will see, he learns, he understands that the fire needs to be fanned. It needs to have oxygen, it needs to have air. And you will see him create this fire, and then you will see how excited he gets about the fire. So let's watch this clip of Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Come on.
May halo na.
Tuwang-tuwa siya, nakabuhay siya ng apoy.
Okay, so he's very excited about the fire, right? Yeah, because now he can cook, now he can survive, now he can live. You know what is the point of that?
Patawal.
The point is we should be as excited about the flame that God has given us in our life. We should be that excited to fan this flame, to fan this gift that God has given us into a huge fire for the Lord, a huge fire for God. Do you know what I see when I look at you? When I look at all of you students from our different campuses, and we're almost filling up this room. Do you know what I see? I see a room that is full of potential world changers. World changers. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Fan the flame, what God has given you, the gift that He's placed in your life. It's our job to fan this flame. Our Bible college is a great place to do that. I want to encourage you tonight. It's not an accident that you are a student at BBCA. It's not an accident that you enrolled in our Bible college. And your dean, and your professors, and our administration, we are doing everything we can to equip you and to train you and to help you fan that flame. If you will stay committed to your studies, if you will stay at BBCA for 4 years and you will walk across that stage, you will fan into flame the gift of God. As you are learning and as you are following God and as you are growing, you will fan that flame. And some of you are sitting here tonight and you will have a big fire for God and you will do great things for God. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to watch it happen. But there's one thing that can stop you. There's one thing that can prevent you from fanning that flame. And it's one word.
Fear.
Fear.
Tama.
Fear can stop you. That's why Paul says here in this verse, he says, God has not given us a spirit of fear. God gave us not a spirit of fear, but of power and love and self-control. Fear is one of the main things, the primary things that can impact your commitment to God. It's one of the main things that can stop you from fanning the flame. Fear impacts my commitment to God, my ability to serve God, my ability to make decisions to follow God are impacted by fear. Fear impacts my commitment. I want you to say that with me. Fear impacts my commitment. Ready?
Fear impacts my commitment.
Say it again.
Fear impacts my commitment.
You know the story of Peter walking on the water? You've heard that story? Jesus, the disciples are in the boat, and Peter looks out and they see someone walking and they're afraid. They think it's a ghost, and Jesus is getting closer and he says, "No, it's me. Don't be afraid." And he says, "Come to me." And Peter steps out of the boat in faith and he begins to walk. He is committed. He is following the Lord. And then what happens? He sees the waves, he hears the wind, and fear. He's afraid, and he begins to sink, he begins to drown. His ability to follow the Lord was impacted by fear. It was changed by fear. Of course, Jesus had to rescue him. Fear impacts our commitment. Do you know what God is saying to Timothy? He's saying, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, Timothy. Just go and do what God has equipped you to do. Just go and serve the Lord. Just be brave. Just go and conquer your fear, forget your fear, and do what God has led you to do. And some of you have a vision in your heart. Some of you, God has given you a desire to plant a church somewhere. Some of you have that desire. Some of you, God has given you a desire to be a missionary. I know that because some of you are in my School of Missions class. I was grading your papers today, okay? So, some of you, God has given you that desire to be a missionary. We have to fan that flame, those gifts that God has given us, to bless our church and to serve in God's kingdom. But fear will stop you from doing that. We should not have a spirit of fear, Paul says, because we have power. He says we have power. Power means we have the ability to do what God has called us to do. You don't need to be afraid. You have fear. What does the Bible say? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens. Wait. No. It says I can do some things, right? Only some things. No, I can do all things through Christ. Paul says you have power. Don't be afraid. If someone tells you you can't do that for God, that's fear. Forget that. Forget the fear and trust God. God has given you power. He's given us love. Paul says we have love that can help us, that can overcome our fear. The word that he uses for love here is the most powerful word for love. There's different words for love in the Bible, different types of love, different kinds of love. But this one is the most powerful. The word here in the Bible, if you look in the original language, the word is agape. You know that word? Agape. Sometimes a church or ministry will title their church that, agape. It's a powerful word. Agape is the love of God. It is the love of action. It is the love of doing. It's the same word in John 3:16. For God so loved the world. It's agape. God agape the world. And what? What did he do? He took action. He gave his son. Love is not a feeling. Love is not romance. Love is not boyfriend, girlfriend. In the Bible, God's love is a love of action. It's a love of doing. And the Bible says in 1 John 4, there is no fear in love. Perfect love casts out fear. Paul says, Timothy, don't be afraid to serve God. You have power and you have love. You have everything you need to serve God. You can be committed. You can forget about the fear. You have self-control. You have the ability to think. You have the ability to act in a sensible way, in a correct way, Timothy. Go and serve God. We have everything that we need to be committed and to live inside of our strengths. You have everything that you need. God has equipped you. But fear impacts our ability to commit. There's a story about two explorers. And these explorers are in Africa, and they are exploring the jungle. Okay, and they are cutting their way through the jungle, through the trees, through the plants. They have a bolo, and they're cutting their way. And they cut into a tree, and they come into a big open area, and they see standing in the jungle, there's a lion, a big lion, okay? And they are afraid for just a minute. They are fearful. And the one explorer says to the other one, he says, don't worry. Don't you remember we read in the book about exploring? We read the book. If there's a lion, you just need to be completely still, and you just need to stare into the eyes of the lion. Just stare into the eyes of the lion. And he will be afraid and he will run. Right? Can you imagine this situation? So they're just staring at the lion. And the other explorer said, yes, I remember the book. And I have read the book. And you have read the book. But did the lion read the book? I don't know. Did the lion read the book or not? They were afraid. Fear was impacting them, and fear will impact us and our ability to decide. Some of you tonight have fear in your life. Some of you are listening to that fear. Some of you have the fear of, maybe I'm not smart enough to finish 4 years. You look at the list of all the courses, you look at the list of all the requirements, and you say, I cannot complete this. I cannot finish 4 years of this Bible college. I'm not smart enough. That's a fear. Some of you have a fear about finances. And I know finances is a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Money is important. The Bible talks a lot about money. It's important that we know how to manage our money. But you don't need to be afraid in your finances. God will take care of you. God will guide you. Some of you say, I don't know if I can manage it financially. I don't know if I can afford to attend a Bible college. I don't know if I can give the time away from work to complete my studies. It's a fear. Some of you, especially first-year students, maybe you announce to your family, you announce to your friends, I'm going to Baptist Bible College Asia, and they are not excited for you. They are not happy for you. Maybe some of your family is telling you, you are wasting your time. You need to go to a secular school, you need to get a degree that you can use. You need to go be an engineer or be a nurse or something. Don't waste your time at the Bible college. Is that true? Do you hear that? Yes. I've talked to many students. And if you listen to that, it's a fear. It's a fear. And that fear will impact your ability. It will impact you. It will cause you to stop developing your gifts, fanning into flame your gift. Very simple topic, very simple message. Fan the flame that God has given you. Commit to your gifts. And a great way to do that is in our Bible college. Our Bible college is here to help you stay committed, to help equip you in what God has gifted you to do. And then number 2, forget the fear. Don't worry about the things that you cannot control, because we know the one who controls everything. And He is with us, and He will help us, and He will guide us. You don't need to listen to the fear. You have everything that you need. You have power, you have love, you have self-control. All you need to do is trust God. Fan the flame. Fan the flame. I'm going to ask everyone to close your eyes and bow your heads.